Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and blasttheradio.com, this is The Lowell Green Show. The number to call and be heard around the world is 613-413-2217. Or email Lowell at blasttheradio.com. And now, here is Lowell Green.
John, folks listening, watching, I have a question for you. What did your kid do with the $2,000 check that she got from Trudeau?
What?
You didn't know they got a $2,000 check? You better check. You better find out.
I don't have kids, so I'm not aware of this.
Well, if you've got a teenager, and the teenager seems to have come across a little bit of extra cash these days, maybe they got their $2,000 check from Trudeau. What do you? I can hear people saying, "What the hell is he talking about now?"
Yeah, me included.
Well, Trudeau, as we learned today, has sent, are you ready for it? 317,990 high school teenagers a $2,000 check each. Now, Trudeau's getting thanked for it.
I guess.
Does. 337,990 teenagers each sent a $2,000 check, not from Trudeau. Well, Trudeau signed it, or his finance minister. He's getting the credit for it, but the money came from you and me, right? I mean, we're the taxpayers, right? Came from you and me. $636 million. That's over $500 million. So, why did 317,990 teenagers living in their parents' basement, why did they each get a $2,000 check? Beats the hell out of me. Beats the hell out of everybody. Even the government doesn't seem to know. The Liberals are running around saying, we did what? We did what? Yeah, you sent 317,990 teenagers, each a $2,000 check. And nobody seems to know why.
Oh, my
God. Where the names came from. Now they say, oh, there's going to be an investigation. Right. You know what an investigation means, right? That is, they hire 427,000 Liberal friends. They pay them each $1,000 an hour, and they have these big round table discussions, endless. They fly them in from all points, east, west, north, south, up, down, the whole, okay? And then in the end, it cost us millions more. But do we ever find out why 317,990 teenagers got a $2,000 check each? No. I mean, we will never. Do you think we'll really ever find out? I mean, that's, to be honest with you, it's peanuts, okay? There was something like $13 billion that went out, supposedly for infrastructure, and nobody knows where the hell it went. $13 billion. Where did it go? We don't know. No accounting? Apparently not. Who got it? Oh, we don't know. Why did they get it? Oh, we don't know. Oh, man. You know, do you really think we'll ever find out? Don't be silly, okay? Stop being so damn silly. We never find out anything that this government has done. When was the last time we found out anything that this government has done? Oh, this investigate. Yeah, right, the investigate. That's going to be a beauty. What do you think, folks? Why do you think 317,990 teenagers, high school students, got a check for $2,000 each? Now, there's another thing that really puzzles me. 317,990 students got a $2,000 check each. But they tell us that over 20 million Canadians also got checks during the pandemic. Now, this puzzles the hell out of me because there are only, about 35, 36 million people in this country. That includes babies. And if 20 million of them got checks, did you get a check, John?
I can promise you I did not.
I never got a check.
No, sir.
I checked. There's 9 families, 9 members in our immediate family. None of them ever got a check.
Nope.
My neighbors were friends. We had them over the other day. None of them got a check. 20.1 million Canadians got checks from the government, CERB checks during the pandemic. But nobody I know got. Who the hell got them? 20 million liberals? An NDP? I don't know. Did anybody who's listening, watching, did any of you get a check from the government? I can't quite figure this. About 36 million people in the country, including babes in arms, little wee toddlers and so forth, 3 and 4 and 5 and 10-year-olds. 20 million Canadians got a check. I don't know what's going on. Does anybody know what the hell's going on? I'm not even sure what my name is anymore. John, are you sure your name is what? What's your name again?
I'll answer to anything at this point.
Anybody, any thoughts on this? Any guesses why 317,990 students teenagers got $2,000 checks?
Crazy.
And how 20 million Canadians got checks when nobody I know or ever heard of never got a check? Who the hell's getting these checks? Now, there's no question some of these checks were legitimate. If you lost your job, et cetera, it was quite legitimate. But I don't think 20 million people lost jobs. There aren't 20 million people in total employed in this country. Am I going gaga here? I'm 86 years old. Is this just old age kicking in finally? Fried my brain? My head's spinning. My head is spinning.
Is there any chance the high school students who receive this check are this close to being of voting age? I'm just asking.
I have no idea. The thing is that nobody knows who got it. All we know is that the 317,090 checks went out to teenagers. Ah, boy. Sackety blur black the bing bong bats. All right. So what do you think, folks? Did you get your money? How come you didn't get your money? You didn't vote Liberal. You didn't support Jagmeet Boy. On a different issue, Gwynne Dyer has a really, really worthwhile, startling column in the Financial Post today entitled The Disastrous Consequences of the Green Movement. You got to read this. Dwyer essentially outlines many of the facts that I've been pounding away on for many years. Green energy, he says, sucking up billions that should have gone to healthcare. Green energy allowing Russia to dominate the energy industry and fund its bombing of Ukraine. Green energy driving up the cost of food into the stratosphere and so on. More, and it goes on. And he points out, the green energy and the consequences of unintended consequence. Many of these people involved in green energy were well-intentioned. But the consequences, as Gwynne Dyer points out, and I've been trying to point out for years, is disastrous. It's driven millions of people, according to Gwynne Dyer, into food poverty. Unbelievable. Finally, after many years, some segments of the mainstream media seems to be catching up to Lowell Green, catching on. You know what? This green energy, we concentrated, we spent all of these billions. Hasn't worked out so good. Ask them in Germany. By the way, here in Ontario, Dalton McGuinty, Kathleen Wynne, and their supporters cost us taxpayers, according to the Auditor General, between $8 and $10 billion for windmills and solar panels. which at noon today, are you ready for it? John, are you ready for it?
Seatbelt is fastened. I'm in here. Go ahead. Hit me.
IESO.ca, the official site, okay? How much power are we burning? Where is it coming from? Well, at noon today, wind and solar combined 2.8% of our needs. Yesterday, it was about, 5%? The day before that, 4.8%. Excuse me, on average, I've worked out the average. The average for the past month has been slightly under 5%. 8 to 10. I keep pounding away because people still don't seem to be getting it. $8 to $10 billion that should have gone into healthcare. Should have built new hospitals, hired more nurses, hired more doctors, hired more staff and paid more staff for long-term care, provided better care. $8 to $10 billion would have just really, really, really been wonderful in healthcare. But instead, we built windmills and solar panels, and many of the environmentalists out there applauded. Great thing to do. Well, we're getting, on average, about 5% of our needs. Son of a biscuit box, right? Oh, boy. But there's still many in the environmental movement say, oh, we should scrap all fossil fuels, including Trudeau and the Liberals and Jagmeet Baby. Okay, we don't want leave the fossil fuel. No gas, no oil, no gas. Let's just biofuels. But biofuels primarily is the burning of garbage. But here in Ottawa, we won't even burn the garbage. We just dump it in the ground. Well, oh, we can't burn the garbage. The environmentalists won't let us burn the garbage. On another issue, was at the Civic Hospital. I forget. I guess it was Tuesday, right?
Tuesday, you were off, yeah.
So when you're at the Civic, you drive by the Civic, right, on Carling Avenue.
Hmm.
And so you're driving, you're going west. The Civic Hospital is on your right.
Correct.
And the field, the sacred grounds of the Central Experimental Farm are just on your left. Sacred grounds, so sacred that we could not build a brand new hospital on the sacred grounds. So I checked again. In the spring, these sacred grounds were abloom with dandelions. So what is there? Well, the helicopter pad is there. There's a road that goes right through the Central Experimental Farm, not far away. There's a big parking lot down there, and there are footpaths through it, and there's grass and dandelions. This is the sacred ground upon which we could not build a hospital. Talking about compounded stupidity. Unbelievable. By the way, remember where you heard it first. I'm going to give you a little bit of sacrilege here. Ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, dogs, cats, birds, all the rest of it. Fish. I have news for you. There's no question that the Central Experimental Farm has played a very vital, very important role in the development of agriculture in this country. There is no question that in the past it has. But I have news for you. Those days are long gone. I seriously doubt, in fact, I have questioned experts, so-called experts, at the farm. What recent developments have you provided Canadian agriculture? Nothing. The fact of the matter is, folks, that all research, or at least almost all worthwhile research on livestock, seeds, crop, and so forth is done by, number one, the seed companies, farmers themselves, farm organizations. That's where the experimental work is being done. I don't think that there has been anything of any value to Canadian agriculture developed at the Central Experimental Farm in the past 10 years. I could be wrong, but I have queried them a number of times and I've never been able to get anything. They've done a little bit of experimental work, I think, for the Philippines. I said, what have you done for Canadian agriculture that makes your land so sacred that we cannot build a desperately needed hospital where everybody knows it should be? The experimental farm. Now, I support the experimental farm. It's nice green space in the center of our city. But this idea that somehow or other it's vital to Canadian agriculture, not anymore. Sorry, not anymore. John, we have a phone call coming in.
Yes, we do. 613-413-2217 is the number from Shawville. Keith, go ahead. You're on with Lowell.
Good to hear from
Hey,
Shawville. Yes, sir.
Oh, how are you doing?
Go ahead, sir.
Just agree with everything you were saying there. One thing about the farm, I don't know why they couldn't have kept that site that they were going right across from the Civic. It made so much more sense than
Absolutely.
Dow's Lake, where all the congestion's going to be.
That's right.
One thing I wanted to mention about speaking with the environment, there's a fellow, I don't know if you read him or not. His name is Stephen E. Coonan. He used to be the energy czar under Obama, of all people.
No.
But he's written a book. You should read this. I know you've got a bit of a science background. It's called Unsettled, and he's just talking about how this environmental stuff has been so overblown. The United Nations is pushing a lot of this stuff, but even their data is so, and their projections are so outlandish. Now, this fellow is well qualified. He was down at Stanford University. He's at New York University now. And as I say, of all things, he was one of the energy ministers under Obama.
And what's his name? What's the name? What's the name of the book?
His name is Stephen E. Coonan. Koonin.
Okay.
It came out last year, and it's, as I say, the book is called Unsettled. This is what climate science tells us and what it doesn't. Now, he doesn't agree that there is a human factor, a human influence, but it's been pushed way out of proportion by the environmentalists.
I don't think there's any question about that. Yeah.
And he takes a question.
Go ahead.
He takes a look at the journalists, that anybody that's doing it studies environment or is paid to do environment. I mean, they don't get paid for saying good news. The only thing they get published is when they can say, "Oh, the world's coming to an end." I'm not expressing myself very clearly on this, but
no, you are. You are. I have to move on, though. You know what? Yeah. Thank you very much. I'm going to read the book Unsettled.
Get that book. I strongly recommend it. I strongly recommend everybody who wants a true or counter opinion on the environment, they should read that.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your call. Good information, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you. Talking about good information, I got a little bit of good information about our good friends at Shields. Got a little notice yesterday. They have now been approved as a Sony dealership. They're not fully stocked. They're just getting supplies in. But just to alert you, if you're thinking of televisions or any appliances of that kind, that they are now a Sony dealership. The number one business, of course, at Shields is appliances. And Mark Shields notifies me once again that, yes, they have really good finance plans for you, including don't pay for essentially a full year till next year. So if you need some financing, and God knows many people do, and nothing wrong with that, they've got some wonderful finance plans as well. Shields Furniture and Appliances, www.shields.ca. Good folks, and you know what? They got a nice little butcher shop too. Go ahead, John. What do we got?
And apparently, every time you mention said butcher shop, they damn near sell out.
That's right.
That's awesome.
Yes. Yeah.
I was just saying a little off the air. I've not been to Shields, but I want to make a little road trip to Pakenham. I want to waltz in the door and go, "Are you the people who advertise on that Lowell Green show?" And then introduce.
Do it. You'll be surprised at the reaction. Yeah.
Let's go to text here, 613-413-2217. Deb says, my husband had someone fraudulently claim CERB using his name, and guess what? He had to pay income tax on it. Oh, isn't that lovely?
Your husband, wait a minute. Wait, so somebody else used his name,
yep,
got a payment, but her husband had to pay income tax on money that he didn't get.
Correct, sir.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Go ahead.
Elias on Facebook. Our civic hospital was chosen. It had Harper fingerprints on the hospital development, so Trudeau canceled the project just out of spite towards the Conservatives.
You know, I think it's important for people to remember that there was originally, this is a number of years ago now, there was a panel of 12 experts, engineers, hospital officials, doctors, other health workers, planners, etc., 12 of them on a committee to select the best site for the new Civic. They examined examined a number of sites and unanimously said the only place for the new Civic is right across the road.
It's perfect.
Perfect. This don't forget, this was a panel of experts, scientists, doctors, engineers, hospital officials, people who knew their business, knew the city of Ottawa, unanimously, after a long study, unanimously said across the road would be perfect for a number of reasons. And they went through them. As a consequence, John Baird, conservative, said, you know what? If the experts say that's where it should go, we will give you the land $1 a year. Okay. He essentially said the land is not really being used for anything useful right now. It's yours. Well, along came the Liberals, and you're right. The Liberals said, wait a minute. This is something that a conservative gave. We can't agree to that. So anyway, they turned it over to the NCC. The NCC, no experts, no hospital officials, no engineers, nobody, said Tunney's pasture. Well, everybody said, Tunney's pasture is filled with buildings, for God's sake. So finally, there was a compromise, and now they are building it, maybe, sometime, near Dow's Lake. We drove by there the other day. They're going to have to knock down a whole bunch of trees. It's extremely crowded. I don't know how they're going to get it. But anyway, that's the decision, folks.
Oh, you got to go through a traffic circle to get to and from it. Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's madness. But they still keep forgetting that it was a panel of hospital experts, engineers, etc., that said the perfect spot is across the road. This was not something somebody plucked out of the air. Go ahead, John.
Any big infrastructure like that makes so much sense to build it across the street. Look what they did in Saskatchewan when they knocked down Taylor Field. Right across the parking lot, they built the next one. So everything just shifts back and forth.
One of the things that's really crazy right now, big controversy over this new site, because they're going to take a lot of space to build a parking lot, right? So big controversy. The NDP says, no, it can't be there. We should go back to Tunney's pasture. We can't put parking lots in here. If they'd put it across the road, the parking lot already exists. My wife parked in the parking lot on Tuesday. She went up to the 6th floor of the building there. So the parking is already there. They wouldn't have to have any land on the new...
And I know you know what else is there. You've mentioned it on your show before. The Heart Institute is right there across the street. Anyway, let's go to Barbara. She says, family of 4, $745 in Ontario, $832 in Manitoba, $1,079 in Alberta. It's the Climate Action Incentive Plan. All right. Over to Twitch. Laurentian View Terry. The only reason why the new hospital is not being built across the street from the old is because John Baird made the deal and Catherine McKenna did not like the deal.
You're right. Catherine McKenna, and she's no longer around. This was her decision. And Madeleine Joly, she played along with it, and so did Trudeau. Disaster. Go ahead, John.
My carbon tax rebate amounts to $70 a month, says David. Eileen says, we're suffering under the cost of JT's crazy climate agenda and will never dig out, but some will still vote for him.
By the way, 317,990 teenagers got $2,000 checks each. Some 20 million Canadians in total got some sort of checks from the government during the pandemic. I want you to know, I'm going to be very, very honest with everybody, okay? I got a check this morning from the provincial government Trillium Fund. I got it, $58. Go ahead, John.
You're buying me lunch then. Cool. I'm going to scroll right to the top of my notes to address some of the responses we got to that. Did anybody else get a check? Anne says, pas de problème, just our freaking money. Donald says, my three teenage grandchildren never got nothing. Boo Boo on YouTube says, hundreds of thousands of kids applied for and received the CERB and living in their parents' house. They got the check because they could.
Well, I mean, it's not 100, it's 300. I'll tell you exactly. 317,990 teenagers got a CERB check. Go ahead, John.
Come income tax time, the parents will have to pay this back, I bet you, says Lynn. Let me see. Come on.
Actually, Debbie, they're teenagers. that'll probably be their only income. There'll probably be no tax on it. Go ahead.
That's a good point. Barbara says, come on, you're joking, right?
No,
Can't,
I'm
can't
not.
help but wonder if those teenagers will vote Liberal in a year or two, says Tony. There you go. I said that earlier, Tony. Good thinking.
Well, wait a
Francis,
minute. Hold it. No, I mean, if this nice guy with the beautiful hair and a great smile, if he had sent you $2,000, wouldn't you vote for him? Of course. Go ahead.
I doubt it. I don't know. Send me the $2,000. I'll answer the
And
questions for you.
then, that's okay.
Fran says, no check for me or for any of my adult kids. Lynn says, we got $2,000 in 2020. Had to pay it back. Don't know why we didn't apply for it. It's all a mystery to us. David says, and yet those on ODSP try to scrape by about $1,100 a month.
Very
Christopher
true.
didn't get a check. Did not apply for it. Lynn adds, she's just following up and correcting some of her grammar from earlier.
That's a very good question. I mean, if these 317,990 high school students each got a $2,000 check, did they apply for it, or did it just land in their bank accounts or in their? No, you know what? Trudeau sends checks because that this is much better. Oh, I got a check. Look what I got from Trudeau.
It's marketing.
Look what I got from Trudeau.
It's
Goes around to his friends. He's got this. Of course, it's Mark. I got this $2,000 check from this really nice guy. What's his name? Oh yeah, I think Justin Trudeau or something. Oh God, go ahead.
It's like a bad radio contest. Be caller 9. We'll send you $2,000. Vote Liberal today. Good morning. Ann says they can't pay me enough to vote Liberal. $58, says Chris. Not even half a tank of gas.
Yeah, I got this morning. I got this check from the prevention. I don't understand what it's for. The Trillium Fund. I guess because I'm 86 years old. I get $58. This is my reward for reaching 86 years. And by the way, I'm still paying taxes. I got $58 back from the province, but I just got a bill from the federal government for $809 in taxes.
Why bother?
The only income I have is essentially for doing this program, but nonetheless, $809 in tax. Go ahead.
Eileen is noticing my new summer haircut. Eileen, thank you. It's the first time I have actually gone to a barber shop since before COVID. It feels
I like
fantastic.
it actually better when you did it yourself.
Oh, I'm sure Johnny at Sam's will be happy to hear that. So sick of this Liberal crap, says Anne, and all of the stupid idiots who keep voting for Trudeau so they can keep doing all of this shit. There. We said bullshit yesterday. We went right to the chase today. Satan's Playmate says, in the old plans, the new hospital across the street, old nurse residence revamped for nurses and doctors, old hospital revamped and turned into a palliative care rehab center. Let me see. Let's go to Old Civic Hospital. No, we did that one already. I'm kind of working blind here. Lowell is not populating on my actual Facebook page. So I'm having to go back through the actual interface that you and I use.
Stop making excuses. Just read the damn stuff.
I'm smitten by Eileen now. She talked about my hair, and I'm all distracted. Liz says Trillium is a credit you get as a homeowner. One person in the home can claim it. There's your answer to that.
Okay, $58.
A big spender. Here's an email from Lisa. The address is lowell@blasttheradio.com. I did not receive 5 cents, but $628,800,000,000 went to a few people or corporations, she says.
I don't, but so they say there's going to be an investor. I don't like. Here is the Canadian Revenue Agency, which can track you down and bill you, for 7 cents.
Mm-hmm.
But they can't seem to figure out why 317,990 students got $2,000 checks. They needed. Why do we need an investigation? You mean to tell me that we're sending out $2,000 checks and we don't know why or to whom? I mean, it's bad enough that $636 million went out like this, but the fact that nobody seems to know why or how, etc., that to me is even more disturbing.
But I have an idea.
Yes.
Whatever system is issuing these checks, can we put that in place of the Phoenix pay system, at least for now, so some of our government workers actually get their paychecks or some semblance of?
But I mean, you can't. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, we send out over 300,000 checks, but we're not sure why or to whom or how it happened.
It's nonsense.
I mean, we need an investigation. What? Something's crazy going on here. That's an understatement. Something crazy going on. Go ahead.
All right, a couple more comments before we wrap things up. It is 2:30 after all. Kellyanne says, I worked all through the pandemic as a PSW while all those stay-at-home job employees got to sit on their asses. Sorry, but now we can't get vacation time, even though we, like nurses, truckers, kept Canadians going all through this BS. There are still outstanding Phoenix problems, says Satan's Playmate. Yep, there you go. Melissa says someone should bill Trudeau for all the CO2 coming out of his private jet. And Laurentian View Terry says this has been an informative show. Thank you. And over to YouTube. Last word to you, Boo Boo. Don't forget, when the CERB was developed, it was no questions asked. That's why.
Yeah, but I understand that. But so did these students apply? I find that difficult to believe that 300 and some odd thousand students applied. I just don't understand how we can send out all more than $500 million of taxpayers' money and not know why or to whom. Thank you all. We'll be back come Monday. Thank you.
The Lowell Green Show is seen and heard live around the world at 2 p.m. Eastern. Connect with us online at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Download the Lowell Green podcast. Available on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green podcast. This is a production of blasttheradio.com.